is the new sexy.
Welcome, this is Wildfire 1 as always. This is Nerds the New Sexy. This is episode 46. With me today is...
I am the true Colnel, or just known as True or Colnel, whatever you want to go ahead and call me.
We'll just call you Colnel. We'll make it easy. How about that?
I prefer sexy, but I can live with that.
Hey, you know what? You're nerdy, so therefore it is common knowledge you are sexy.
Well, there we go.
So before we go any further, I'm going to introduce to you The Best of Craigslist by Lady Catherine.
Welcome to The Best of Craigslist as told by Lady Catherine.
This is Lady Catherine with free vegan hamster gazing.
Hey man, I've been practicing the ancient tribal meditation art of vegan hamster gazing for 10 years now and feel that I am close to perfection with my practice. I'm inviting you, free of charge, to gaze at my vegan hamster for a whole new level of oneness. Email for more details. Sawdust will be provided. Thanks.
So the topic today on episode 46 will be are multiplayer games killing the single player industry? We've all grown up playing single player games and loving them, but now we got multiplayer and you have, I can play with my friends, I can do this and that. I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't seen as many single player games out.
I'm not going to deny that I do miss playing, just the standard, not necessarily even RPG, but your own hack and slash or just anything in general when you used to be able to play that on the couch. But that kind of goes back to the whole multiplayer is kind of cool in the aspect of, when I was growing up, my brother would hog the Super Nintendo or the 64 or whatever system we were playing on, and you're just kind of watching, and you're like, well, you ever watch an RPG, it's kind of boring. Yeah,
if you ever sit and I agree with you there. Just watching someone, but then again, I've sat and watched friends play and gotten really into it. So, but it's not the same experience as being in the game. I was playing Final Fantasy 15 when I came up with the concept of this particular topic, because Final Fantasy 15 is at the moment purely single player.
Yeah, and if you go ahead and look at it in the aspect, some single player games, when they got remade or just in general, some of them wind up getting some form of multiplayer. If you look at, we can go with one of the original Fire Emblems, those are all single player experiences, and then, hey, all of a sudden it comes out, and you know what, let's have a versus mode, your units versus my units, which is kind of cool and stupid at the same time, just because growth rates and percentages and all that other stuff,
PvP is a pain in the ass, but I think we'll get into that a little further on. I don't know, just there's something to be said. There's a bit of a romanticism to a single player game, where you're stuck playing a certain character. Games like Skyrim, where you make your own character as well, and stuff like that. The Bethesda games.
See, and here's where people are going to wind up. I want everyone to put their pitchforks down right now, because I'm going to say something's going to piss people the hell off. But here's what it comes down to. Skyrim, don't get me wrong, great game. I bought the remastered edition for my Xbox One. I'm sorry, PS4 people, go ahead and put your pitchforks down too, please. What it kind of comes down to is good game and everything like that, but I never really felt like I was important to the story. I'm just some guy that happens to get the, Dragonborn powers, but before everyone wanted to kill me and they didn't really even know who I was, so you kind of craft your own backstory. It's kind of hard to... I didn't care about the world, I guess, is what it came down to.
Yeah, you know what? That's all right. I liked Skyrim simply because it was the time, especially at the time, it was a beautiful world, beautiful setting. I like that whole, even though it's played out, especially with an RPG backstory, it's played out. You're the one man that can save the world, and it kind of makes you feel special when you play like that. And you're like, oh yeah, I can, shout and do crazy fucking magic tricks and you name it. But the thing is, especially with Skyrim got tedious.
Yes.
It turned into the same thing, and I hate to say this was the same thing with Oblivion. It was just the same thing over and over again. Unfortunately I never beat either one of them because I got so far and I was like, fuck this. I'm kind of bored.
And that's the one thing that kind of sucks about those really open-ended games is once you finish it, it's kind of like, oh, what now? Yeah. But then, that's where I guess multiplayer kind of comes into play at that point. It's like, oh, I can do a versus match or anything like that. But
or I can go grind with my friends. I never got into World of Warcraft.
I didn't play World of Warcraft myself either. I was a Final Fantasy 11 guy, and so yeah.
I heard that game had its issues.
Oh yeah, it did. It was definitely a community game where you had to know people or had to have people ready or on the ready to go do stuff. And I mean, you would plan these things out in days or weeks in advances, and then you would also schedule certain times to be on, so that way you guys could go level. World of Warcraft, from everything that I noticed, is kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and do whatever the hell I want. You know, it wasn't like playing your character, you're playing your account. Final Fantasy 11. I remember having these arguments when I used to work at a certain game store. Final Fantasy 11, I'm playing my character. Oh, I don't want to use a sword and shield anymore. I want to go do some magic. So I'm going to go take my character, change my job, become a black mage or a white mage. You know, and I'm still me. But in World of Warcraft, you know, you've got your, hunters and paladins and all these other classes, but they're not the same person. It's a different avatar. I mean, you can make it look the same and everything like that, but it's kind of like takes the role-playing aspect out of the role-playing game. It's just
you can't change your job and then like do stuff all over, you know, and learn from the very bottom to the top again and be like multitask.
Exactly.
You're just stuck with like, oh, and then you got a few other side things you can do with. Yeah, I understand. I can kind of understand that, being that I don't know too much about World of Warcraft. Because I've really never played it.
Yeah, I never played it either. I had a couple friends that would play, and I would watch. I'm like, it's kind of boring.
Yeah, it looked like it was. I don't know. It looked like it was going to eat all of my money, and I didn't want that. I did not want my money gone. I wanted my money for other things like games and living, you know, and
living's overrated, anyways.
Or jobs, you know, have time for jobs and stuff like that, you know, stuff that you kind of need as an adult, a functioning adult anyway. I think that, like I said, I think there's a bit of a beautiful memory to single player games as opposed to multiplayer. Multiplayer, you know, it's a boom. It's not like it hasn't been around. It's not like it hasn't been around forever, but it's not like it's really new either.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at something, let's go with one of the newer games coming out. Let's go with like Kingdom Hearts. That's a single player experience.
Oh yeah.
Mostly. I know that on the PSP and.
Oh yeah, with the.
Yes, it had some other like multiplayer aspects, like Mario Party for Kingdom Hearts on the PSP is what it was. I think was the best way I could describe it. But I mean, you take like the first two games, not Recoded and all these other. I'm not going to get on that rant. Let's stay focused here. But Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, that's a single player experience. And when you beat the first one, it's kind of that bittersweet ending that, hey, I saved my friend, but, spoilers before you know.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I saved my friend, but I didn't really get to see how all that played out because he's going to go and close the door on the other side, and then
yep.
You save the person that I guess you would say the love interest, but they're kind of still young to kind of have that love interest thing, which kind of felt weird to me.
Yeah, yeah, it was a kind of a strange experience. You're like, yeah, I kind of want them to get together, but I'm like, not. I kind of feel bad for wanting that to happen.
Exactly. And then he just winds up saying bye to her because I gotta still go save our friend, and
bye, bitch, I'm gonna be busy. Yeah, pretty much.
And it's kind of like it was a great game, and then you go to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Like you put it, I think you put it best. It's bittersweet. The ending was amazing. It was just And then of course it went on to the shitty card game that we shall not mention.
I actually played that one.
So did I.
I beat it, and I was happy with Riku's story. Sora's story, I just was like, God dang, this is hard.
Well, it was their way of saying, hey, this is what happens to Sora. He goes through all this bullshit, and this is what happens to Organization 13. And this is, oh, by the way, at the end, Sora goes into this sleep and forgets about fucking everything and whatever. But yeah.
Exactly, and that's just, that story is very, very.
You know what?
It's not convoluted. It's just told very badly.
The important part of that, the biggest part of that game, in my opinion, was the introduction of Axel.
Yeah.
That was it. Everything else was nothing.
Well, it's because Axel's such a key player in that.
Especially later on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you haven't played Dream Drop Distance, definitely pick up 2.8 on the PS4. In a couple days here, right?
Yeah, it comes out. I'm probably picking that up because, Kingdom Hearts is my crack. It's my jam. It's one of, and like we were saying, it's a single player game, and it's one of those games that you can go through and play. And I think multiplayer, and getting back on topic, I think multiplayer actually makes games kind of it gives it like that replay value. You know what I mean?
It gives it a replay value, but if you're someone that's an achievement hunter or a trophy hunter, or just someone that likes to complete games, like a completionist type person, which, shout out to one of my favorite YouTubers, Gerard. But, you got those multiplayer games, like get 10,000 kills with this gun, and it's like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get the last fucking achievement on this? Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the multiplayer on extending gameplay, I wouldn't say it kills the single player experience, it more adds its own variety mix to it, but what bugs me is when developers, and this might be just my own personal thing, speaking as a developer myself, you take like BioShock, the first BioShock, that was an amazing first-person shooter, I would say kind of puzzler. It was such an amazing single-player experience, and then they brought out BioShock 2. It was kind of like, it's good, but, people really wanted this to be multiplayer, obviously, because, it's kind of like,
Well, I mean, let's look at Dead Space. Let's look at
that's another perfect example.
One and two, were single player games, and the first two games were fucking horrifying. They're horrific. They're amazingly awesome and scary. And then they added and I'm not downing it. It has its ups and downs, but they added co-op to the mix in the third game, to where you got this guy with you. And I mean, let's be honest, if you're facing necromorphs with a friend, it's not as scary.
Oh, here's another perfect example. Okay, I actually liked Resident Evil 5 and 6. Granted, tank controls, you can't move while shooting. Yeah, whatever. That's the thing. Everyone wanted a Resident Evil 4 game, and that's what Resident Evil 5 was, but it had multiplayer.
I never played it, so
it's great if you have a friend.
Okay.
It's phenomenal if you have a friend, because you got that whole teamwork dynamic, especially if you're really good friends or anything like that, where you don't even have to speak to one another because you guys kind of know how each other plays.
Yeah.
But the moment that you're in the game and then, said person decides, I'm quitting gaming forever, halfway through a campaign, this happened to me. So, I'm stuck halfway through Resident Evil 5. I have all this cool gear, and my partner, who was Sheva or Shiva, whatever you want to call her, has like the basic pistol.
Oh.
And now I'm going against these things where everyone should kind of have a pretty decent upgrades and everything like that. And it made the game impossible.
Yeah.
So I had to restart from scratch, and then the AI on it just really... That game was designed for multiplayer specifically. They took a single-player game, slapped multiplayer on it, designed it for multiplayer, and then didn't really give it the care and attention it needed for the single-player experience.
Yeah. So you could say it killed the single-player experience in that aspect.
In that aspect, yes. But then, you get Resident Evil 6, and I know a lot of people hate this game, and I thought it was awesome. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, it was designed for multiplayer. If you played by yourself, it was definitely difficult. But they also did give a campaign that was meant to be played single player, and that's when you play as Ada Wong. They did add a multiplayer for that, where the other person plays as one of the Umbrella soldiers. I can't remember the actual soldiers, but it's essentially like Hunk. But they have no dialogue. They have no cinematic action button press segments for them, It's just they're kind of there. It's like, well, you're just kind of there, dude. I don't really need your help.
I'm just on the side, if you need me, just holler. It's cool.
Over here with my first aid spray, just making sure that we're all good. But, and then you go into the other campaigns like Leon, Chris, and Jake, who was Wesker's son. And they all have partners in it, and those partners are very, very pivotal in the game. So multiplayer actually made Resident Evil 6. Like, me and my brother actually binged that game. We actually rebought it, remastered on the Xbox One, and went through the stories again because that's how amazing it was. It's just that made the game for us. But they still paid attention for the single-player aspect and gave you Ada Wong's story, which, granted, doesn't wind up coming out until after you wind up beating the first 3 campaigns, but it's just one of those things that it can be done as long as they put the effort in. But when developers are out there, they're like, we need to focus on multiplayer.
Do you feel that multiplayer is killing single player?
It's a catch-22, It's kind of like On some points, yes, I believe it's completely killing the single player experience. I mean, with the exceptions of like, Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, Final Fantasy 15 is a very big exception.
Exactly, and I keep hearing that, and I have it installed, and it's one of those things I'm going to sit down and play you.
You're going to love that game.
And I'm going to play the fuck out of you.
You're going to love that game. I'm not spoiling nothing for you, but it's probably the first Final Fantasy game that I have played in a long time that I was actually like, I like these characters.
Yeah.
I can live with these guys.
I mean, I honestly, when I kind of first saw the trailers, I was one of those guys like, it's 4 dudes in a car taking a road trip across the country.
It's the same way, but it
Final Cockfest 15 or something,
Yeah, sausage party.
But we can go with a different game. How about we go with like Legend of Zelda? That's Zelda, a single player game.
Very pivotal.
Exactly.
That's a footprint in single player history.
Exactly, and I can't wait for Breath of the Wild.
I'm looking forward to that. Good, but I don't know if I'm going to get a fucking Twitch or Twatch or Snatch or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Nintendo Snatch.
Boy. They're snatching your money. That's what they're doing. They're going to
man, those controllers are so damn expensive. I pre-ordered a Switch.
I hate to say it, I might get one, but I don't really want one.
I pre-ordered it for Legend of Zelda, and there's going to be a couple of other titles like Fire Emblem Warriors. And actually, this brings me to my next point.
Mm-hmm.
A great segue. So, you got the Warriors series, and then they did Hyrule Warriors, which is it can be a single-player hack and slash or a multiplayer hack and slash. Yeah, playing that game, you have to play over 100 hours to get everything. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
You got, I wouldn't say amazing story. It's a good story for a hack and slash.
It's acceptable.
Exactly. It's presentable.
I think it's okay how they kind of added everything in and did stuff, and but it kind of made a cool story and made everything kind of go together. At first I was like, oh, this is kind of explaining how everything happened, and then I get a little further on, I'm like, no, it's not. This is a clusterfuck of everything.
But and that's a game that's great multiplayer. You have your buddy on the side of the couch, one of them on the pad, one of them on the TV, and it's just like, yeah, we're kicking ass.
Well, there's nothing like couch co-op.
Exactly. Couch co-op is awesome.
I can't say it's like what Spawn multiplayer, but I think it was a big part of it.
Honestly, what Spawn multiplayer was all the LAN parties back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in our day, back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s. Back when we had squirrels running LAN party servers, and it was great. It was great.
And Final Fantasy VI was known as Final Fantasy III, and Final Fantasy IV was Final Fantasy II.
Yes, and we didn't have a Final Fantasy 3 or 4 or 5 for like ever. And then boy, we give you this now. By the way, Final Fantasy 3 is really 6. It's a twist.
Oh man, and that just like blew people's minds. But
how dare they fuck with my emotions?
I mean, if we were to go on that aspect, wouldn't like Final Fantasy 15 be like Final Fantasy
28?
10 to us or something? I don't know the numbering system.
By the way, 10 is horrible. You had to bring up 10. You had to bring up 10. 10 is a biblical clusterfuck.
Actually, get off subject here real quick. Did you know that they actually continue 10's story in Japan? And apparently Titus is like immortal and he's gotten his head cut off like several different times.
Oh, they actually did oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Yuna and Titus wind up not really being together later on down the line. It's just weird.
Weird shit. Like a super slut, and her body's like tentacle porn or some shit. Fucking Japan! Why? Why?
Oh boy! But
I love it.
Oh yeah, you need to check that out. I'll have to send you a link.
I definitely gotta check it out. But the thing is okay, it wasn't just the game that killed me in 10. It was the voice acting, with the exception of Auron. His voice was pretty.
Okay, Auron was badass.
But everyone else, that laughing scene. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh boy, here we go. Everyone always brings up that laughing scene. I am going to defend that laughing scene right now.
I've seen the defense on it, but this is the first time I've ever mentioned it ever.
I just happen to be your special guest the time you mention it. It's just like.
But it's that laughing scene. The voice acting in general is bad, but that laughing scene is just horrific. I mute the television when it was like, oh god. Oh god, it's like listening to Kanye sing fucking Bohemian Rhapsody. I gotta mute this.
Kanye can sing.
He tries.
Oh boy.
Like I just tried to laugh. So I want to hear this. Give me your defense on this. I've read stuff about it too.
Okay. So. Well, I'm pretty sure you saw that Final Fantasy X soundtrack done with Titus's laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's funny because the voice actor, what is his name? James Arnold Taylor, I think, or something like that.
Something like that.
He does a reaction video to that. And he's listening to it, and he's actually mimicking the laugh, where he's just opening his mouth, and it's just a bunch of still images of him doing that. Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
God.
And then he finally, like, they play a couple songs, and then they stop, and then he's like, "It was supposed to sound like that. Get over it." But this is funny.
And that's the thing. That was his direction.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a bad direction. I mean, if you read the original script, it's supposed to be that uncomfortable laughing because it's like, oh, you need to force that smile. You need to, it's kind of like when you're.
Wasn't it right after a bunch of people died?
Exactly.
I mean, if he was laughing and meaning it, I'd be kind of worried. I'd be like, I don't want to play this character anymore. I don't know about this.
And that's the thing. It's kind of like, well, you're a summoner. You have to put on that fake smile. So.
Oh, it's so bad though. I mean, and I can't talk about Final Fantasy X without talking about Lulu's tits.
Well,
the big Moogle pluff bubbles on her chest that we love.
Out of curiosity, are we talking about Final Fantasy X on the PS2 Lulu's tits, or are we talking about the remastered edition where it's not as pixelated and all that other stuff?
I'm talking about the huge square tits that we saw on 2.
So you're a what's that? You're more for the original instead of the new recipe.
I haven't played the new recipe because I'm not giving those fuckers my money. Okay, it's not Kingdom Hearts. I'm not going to buy it 3 or 4 times.
See, you're going to give them their money when they release that Final Fantasy collection here, like this year or something like that.
Oh, they're doing that?
Yeah.
Collection for what? Like all
all of them, like 1 through current.
Why the fuck would I rebuy 15?
Why wouldn't you? But think of it this way: you get to play Final Fantasy 6 and 4 and 4 of the after years, and
that would be kind of cool. But the after years, from what I've heard, is like 4 all over again.
Oh, you have no idea. Oh man, like I was super stoked for that because actually, really quick, what is your favorite Final Fantasy?
3, 6, of course.
See, and that's the thing. I'm always torn between. Not 7. 7.
7 had its problems, but it's.
I have my issues with 7, where it's
3 or 2 to me, because my second would be, which would be my close one, would be Final Fantasy 2, which is 4 in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I would honestly say right now, Final Fantasy 11, the MMO, is my favorite, but I'm not really counting that because it's not a single player experience and all that. But I'm always torn between 6 and 4, or 2 and 3 if you had the Super Nintendo ones. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and it's not even necessarily Cecil or Cecil or whatever you want to call him.
I think it's Cecil. I think
it's Cecil in Japanese and Cecil because we had to figure out how to wind up saying it.
We could, it's just like Sephiroth. I think people or Mako, people.
Yeah.
Or Magus, whatever the fuck.
Oh, yeah, that shit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like Cecil didn't do it for me. It was really Kane's story that did it for me.
Kane's story was an amazing story. I liked their friendship, and I liked Cecil's story. Was like Cecil's story did it for me, but Kane's story was like the icing on the cake.
And I mean, it's like the slap on the ass after the lovemaking done.
I love it. Yes, exactly. So. And that's what it was for me. I was like, we got this friendship, and this friendship's all of a sudden torn because of this fucking mind-controlling asshole.
And the thing is, it's not necessarily all the mind control, because Kane did harbor feelings towards Rosa.
Yeah, but it was just, that was used to keep him at bay.
Exactly.
So, and I mean, that's why he wouldn't hurt Rosa when they was kidnapped. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for you, that's like over 20 years old almost.
those of you who have not played Final Fantasy freaking 4,
you should be ashamed of yourself. And then Final Fantasy 6, my favorite character was Sabin, whatever you want to call him, and Locke.
Locke was everyone's favorite character. Honestly, like, I liked Terra.
Terra's cool. Don't get me wrong.
I mean Celeste, and those are my. I think Edgar was one of my favorite characters too. But
what's kind of cool is the way they kind of when you get the chainsaw tool, and he puts on the Jason mask. That's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I always thought that shit was funny. The ending to Final Fantasy, but the ending is just phenomenal. Final Fantasy VI, the ending was phenomenal. It was well known. It had some of the most well known dialogue.
How about the amazing boss fight theme against Kefka?
Oh, Kefka's theme in general was fucking amazing. But those are great single player games that you can think of right now. Also great multiplayer games. I mean, think of any first person shooter that anyone likes.
Here's a War.
I'm a great Battlefield fan.
Halo, which I know is like sacrilegious to you.
Yes. Nothing gets me on a rant quicker than people going, Halo is revolutionary for first person shooter games.
I'll put it to you this way: if it wasn't for Halo, we wouldn't have as popular as of multiplayer LAN parties, or we would have been a couple steps behind still, because that's really what broke the Xbox into it. That's what saved Microsoft, was Halo.
Fuck, you got a point. I can't argue with that. But still, And I'll give it that, but it wasn't revolutionary for first-person shooters. It was revolutionary for multiplayer games.
Honestly, Nintendo does a lot of firsts.
Yeah, but they're also scared. It's scary enough. I hope the Nintendo Twitch isn't their last.
Oh, speaking of that, so oh man, it's another segue here since we're on the Switch again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they're I was standing in line to pre-order it, and you know what they're calling the Switch is when you have like a bunch of people gathered around for multiplayer. They have multiple Switches. They call it a Switch circle.
That sounds like very dangerously like a circle jerk.
My mind went to that exactly, and then I realized I'm a horrible person.
It's not gay. It's Nintendo.
Oh, Nintendo!
Thank you. Oh, press my buttons.
Oh man, we kind of came full circle because this is exactly where I wanted to come back to. But we're talking about Legend of Zelda, single player experience, and then multiplayer experience. And then you look at games like Mario 64.
Oh yeah,
we'll go with something extremely revolutionary.
Oh yes.
That was the first 3D fucking platformer game, and I'll play fucking Mario 64 any fucking time.
Oh, it's still a fun game.
Exactly.
It aged well. It really did, and it also the nostalgia helped.
And then you got Super Mario 3D Land.
Oh yeah, I see. I was gonna get that, but I didn't.
I did, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the multiplayer, and sometimes people causing other people's deaths, mainly me accidentally doing that. I'm not going to go ahead and put that in there, but
oops.
Whoops! Didn't mean to throw you off the ledge. But I really wanted that crown, because it's kind of cool when everyone finishes the level. The person that finished with like the most points and coins and got the highest point on the flagpole gets a crown.
Oh, okay.
And you can hit the person that has the crown and steal it for yourself.
Dick move.
I never said I was a nice guy.
When did Mario Brothers become such a violent sport?
Really? Super Strikers?
Oh yeah, well and on top of that you have fucking Mario Kart games, which everyone's trying to kill each other from first place. And yes, I did say kill each other, because some of the shit you get is just extremely horrible. I'm gonna hit you with a turtle shell. The turtle shell happens to explode when it hits you.
Oh boy, but going back to that, it's like when you play with a bunch of competitive asshole friends.
Oh yeah.
Of course, that crown's gonna become damn important.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't
matter if there's only 10 seconds to finish the level.
That crown becomes the most important thing in the game.
Exactly. And you're like, you know what? Fuck you. That's my crown.
Oh.
So that made Mario 3D Land fun.
Yeah. I agree. I think that multiplayer aspects makes games fun. Look at games like Left 4 Dead.
Oh yeah. Play that by yourself.
Play that by yourself. Those bots are stupid as fuck. They're like, oh yeah, you're getting killed. You're being mauled to death by zombies. Okay, we're just gonna look at you. I'll shoot a few of them. Bang, bang, bang. Okay, 3 of them fell down. There's still 20 on you. You're safe.
I'm noticing something though. I've always noticed this is Nintendo does single player, and when they have their multiplayer stuff, they do it right.
Yeah, but there's very few things Nintendo's been doing right lately.
I know the Wii U was a commercial flop for them or whatever, but
Well, the Wii was bad too. I mean,
well, that was all the shovelware.
Wii itself was good. At least from what I've seen, they shut off all the damn servers for that game.
Yeah.
And that's a big fuck you to the people. Like, my parents have it, and they were watching Netflix on that shit, and they're like, we can't connect. It doesn't even work anymore. It's just a big fuck you to anyone who bought a Wii, and Nintendo, that's the problem. They don't care.
Yeah.
And that's what's killing them.
I wouldn't say that they don't care, because, I mean, I remember when the original DSs came out, it was
I have one word for you, and this will make you agree with me. Amiibo.
You mean physical download content?
Anything about it. I'm talking like...
the only Amiibo I have is the one that came in the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Special Edition.
You know how many stories I've heard where these stores are supposed to be selling like the super, super fucking rare ones?
Yeah.
They don't get them shipped in?
I remember that type of stuff back in the day.
Was it Nintendo that was mostly the fucking culprit of that kind of stuff?
Well, you know what honestly mostly the culprit was? It was certain people that would work in the industry and be like, I'm going to put this aside for myself.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo...
I was never guilty of that myself, by the way, guys. So
Nintendo was bad about not ordering or putting out enough for people.
Well, it's because when they actually have a hit of something, they don't expect it to take off like...
The new retro Nintendo thing.
Which I think is so fucking stupid.
I would love to buy one. I think what's bad...
I still... And here's the thing about that. Here's 50 games. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's like $1 a game. But the controller cable is like maybe 1.5 feet long.
Yeah, I agree there.
The other thing that bugs me is, you can't add more games to it. It legitimately cannot add more games to it. And then, we're going to release an NES Classic 2, which is going to have 50 more games. So by the time that they release how many games are on the Nintendo library? Like
too many I can think of.
Okay, well, let's just say you're going to have a leaning freaking... tower of Nintendo NES Classics. It's just, if you really want to play the games, go find them.
They're cheap.
Yeah, well, most of them.
Yeah. So like that gold fucking Legend of Zelda Classic game.
Or how about, the Nintendo Olympics or whatever.
Yeah, but who wanted to play that game? You were lucky to have that. Most people had that game because it fell in the back of the box. And they forgot they fucking had it. And it was such a bad game that people were like, well, look what I got. I'm surprised I didn't sell this at a yard sale. Oh, it cost so much money?
Yeah.
I can sell it at a yard sale now.
If you really want to have that exciting feeling of like Nintendo Olympics, just play like a NES remix or whatever.
Or kick yourself in the balls. Because it would be a less painful experience. That game is bad. But that's a single-player game, too. There you go.
Yeah.
Since I've asked you, I guess it's my turn to answer. I think that multiplayer is killing a single-player experience. I think I do think that multiplayer is also adding to the single-player experience, like the enjoyment of it to an extent. It also adds, little things like replay value and stuff like that. But I think it truly is killing the single-player experience simply because, one, we're not seeing as many single-player games out. And that right there is my biggest point. Well,
I mean, and that's the thing. Here's what it kind of comes down to with that whole single player experience. And this is again me. I'm gonna stand on my soapbox, trying to develop a game and all that other stuff, doing it by myself. The amount of time it takes to create a cohesive story, is just it's hard to do. And then on top of that,
you say cohesive, but you haven't played Final Fantasy 15 yet.
Well, how long was that in development for?
There's not much cohesive story in that. Dude, the game is if you haven't watched the movie, the anime, played the other fucking games, you're pretty much not going to know everything there's about the story.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. You have to have all that stuff, all that backstory, all that world building.
Yeah, but in a game, and to me that's broken.
Okay, and I can agree. I can see your point.
If you're going to I'm just going to pause you real quick. If you're going to produce a game and sell a game to people and then say, oh, by the way, you should buy all this extra shit because that would explain what this, that, and the other thing, rather than, just buying the movie where you can actually just watch the backstory to like the dad or whatever and go from there. That's just broken. It's lazy. It's like, oh, we don't want to code this in. We got all this other shit in this game. fuck you. Guess what? I'm not again.
Well, do you want your 50 gigabyte, download game to be 100 and something?
Fucking upgrade. Give me DLC, bitch. Give me fucking.
That's the first time I've heard anyone say that about a single player campaign. Give me some DLC, bitch.
If Rockstar can put out DLC for free, so can fucking Square Enix. That's all I'm saying. Okay, it's not all they have to do is go, hey, you know what? Oh, and if you want these other experiences, you can pay for the $24 for the season pass, which that's a great deal in my opinion because there is a multiplayer experience with that, which I don't think is out yet, but it's coming. But the game, I love the game. Don't get me wrong, the game's amazing. Everything about that game is fucking cool, except for the fact that it just feels incomplete. You're like, who the fuck are these four douchebags in leather? And why the fuck are they jerking each other off in a fucking convertible?
And why do they look like they just stepped out of Hot Topic?
Yeah, dude. Oh, my life is so hard. Hi, how's everything going? Everything's peachy dory back here. Noctis, I love you. Okay. Will you please jerk me off? Oh, I'll do anything you want.
Why did you sound like Mickey Mouse that way?
Because he's play the game. That's all I gotta say.
Oh boy,
it's a great game, but somewhere Square Enix is sending a fucking assassin out for my ass right now. They're like, oh, this Wildfire one guy, fuck him. Go get him, Noctis lookalike.
So every angsty teenage high school person.
Japan. We had to stereotype it in Japan.
Well, just as long as you never go to the land of the rising sun, I think you'll be fine.
No, they'll be coming to me. They'll be like, I'll hear. Oh, are you Wildfire One Star? Like, no, he lives next door. I feel bad.
You should. See, I thought I was a dick for wanting to take a crown, but you just went full blown dick. How many hours have you pumped into Final Fantasy 15? Let me ask you that.
Oh shit, I've lost count. I know maybe about 30. 40,
okay,
maybe more than that. Because I kind of play. I'll go in like, okay, I think I'm okay. I'm gonna try and fight this boss, or I'm gonna try and fight this bad guy, and if I need help, maybe I'll go out and do some shit. But if I beat him even by the skin of my teeth, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm right where I need to be. I'm moving on. So,
exactly. Okay, so we'll take that for an example. 30 plus hours already, and you're probably nowhere near the end, I imagine.
Oh, I beat it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So,
way to crap all over my theory.
Well, I'm speculating.
Doing that nowadays in our adult life, and I'm talking about the kids, the 90s kids back in our day, that are now like in their late 20s, early 30s, even, coming up on 40s and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have 30 hours to be able to dedicate into a game before the next game comes out,
See, I understand what you're coming from, but my counterpoint to that is this. I love to play a game that I don't want to end. I'm sure you felt that way with Final Fantasy 6 and 4.
Of course.
And when it ended, it felt accomplished. It felt like, but you're like, oh, I want more. So, and Final Fantasy 15 does give that kind of feeling, which is great. Okay, as opposed to an 80-hour game, which was most good RPGs back in the day, if you played fully through it, and you don't feel quite as accomplished when you're playing like 30s or 20 or even 40-hour games.
Well, see, now I have a counter argument to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Chrono Trigger.
Oh, Chrono Trigger seemed like it was long, but it wasn't.
Exactly. You could get through that in like 20 to 25 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like if you haven't played in a couple years and can't remember everything. I'm granted you're not going to see every fucking ending, but
that game especially though felt like you wanted more. And I want to say, well,
you could also feel very accomplished in your 20-hour campaign.
I'm not saying all games are like that, but I'm just saying that okay, again, I'm gonna go back to Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15, again, I love the game, but it did not feel. It felt like it should have been longer. Like if you ever played a game and just go, it should have been longer. There could have been a little bit more.
Like Force Unleashed 2?
Yes. Oh, Force Unleashed 2 especially. That 5-minute fucking game. Beat it in one day, fucking, oh, dude. Oh, I just picked the controller up. Oh, you won. I did? What? But yeah, there's games like that do feel like they need to be. And like Chrono Trigger, you brought that up. Chrono Trigger, I think, honestly, is the perfect game. It's the perfect game, and it was a short game, but you lost yourself in that time.
When you say perfect game, you don't mean like it's the end all be all game. You mean it's got the perfect balance of everything. It's pretty much it's the blueprint to how an RPG should be done.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not the end all be all game. I mean, that is the perfect blueprint. It had everything, perfect music, perfect story. It was just good. It was an all around good game, and I think that that should be used as a blueprint. I mean, I could say the same for Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is a perfect blueprint for games, and that's why I think that Final Fantasy 15, again, full circle, is a good game because they had a lot of their people that worked on Kingdom Hearts work on Final Fantasy 15. When you open the game and you hear that music, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think that these games especially, I think that multiplayer, it's not that I'm downing multiplayer or single player. I love both. I am an avid gamer of both games.
Exactly.
I absolutely love getting on GTA with my friends and going crazy or playing, Battlefront online with.
I feel like I just got slapped in the face by that game.
Yeah, DICE does that to you.
Nice little mushroom stamp on the side of your face, apparently.
The enormous penis, and they're like, hey, you want to play this game? Bam! Dick slap. Good luck. It's a good game. It really is. It's just, it gets frustrating. It's almost like a clusterfuck. You're not seeing as many single player games these days. You're seeing a lot of multiplayer games that rely solely on multiplayer. Like,
well, I mean, that's the cash flow right there. You know?
That's the cash cow right now.
I mean, look at Grand Theft Auto 5. It had a pretty good single player campaign.
Oh yeah, and then they brought out the multiplayer and just kept adding and adding and adding and adding and adding and adding.
And now we're gonna have that here with Red Dead.
Oh God, Red Dead Redemption 2. I can't wait. I can't wait. I got such a boner for that game. Like we were saying, it's not that we're leaning towards one or the other. It's just an observation. The observation is being that is it truly killing the single player experience? And now you have VR, virtual reality out there, and and like we've said in past podcasts, wait till virtual reality becomes a multiplayer experience.
Yeah, and then we're pretty much on the holodeck at that point.
Oh, holodeck is the dream. Just imagine holodeck, virtual simulation of Britney Spears. Young Britney Spears. Britney Spears.
Not bald.
And then you gotta it's like Pac-Man. You gotta run away from her. She's going waka 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 waka.
I feel bad for the janitor of the Enterprise.
Well, then again, it is like a very interesting technology, so maybe it cleans itself, Maybe there's a hollow janitor. He's like, mop, 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 mop.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, it's a Twitch circle.
Oh, boy. VR multiplayer. God damn it.
Yeah, VR multiplayer is going to be a thing, and I can't wait. I really can't.
I still think the technology is not where it needs to be successful. It's kind of reminding me of the Dreamcast. It's
actually in a successful state right now. I think that it's doing good. I just don't think that multiplayer is within our grasp. We're just finally, because we did a VR.
Yeah, I listened to it.
And the thing is the 90s promised us so much, with virtual reality, and we got pretty much shit on.
Wasn't virtual reality a concept in the 80s, technically?
Well, it's been around for, quite a while now.
X-ray glasses.
but the 90s was when it was booming. It was like, oh, we got all these movies and stuff. And you got virtual boy, watch this and go by.
Oh, boy.
Enjoy the headache that this game gives you.
How the fuck can you call that a portable system without having duct tape on your head?
And then they promised us all this other virtual technology, which a lot of it was kind of bullshit, and some of it was okay, and now we have what's closest to what we've dreamt about. You look around, you move, and you see the landscape move with you, and of course you're still kind of tethered with these hand fucking dick things in your hand, I guess.
Cylindrical objects with a bulbous tip.
Yes. You kind of got to go about doing stuff. You're still kind of tethered, but at the same time, we're miles from where we were. It's great because who knows? 20 years from now, there might be multiplayer because that's might be where it's at. You might be like, oh, Batman and Robin versus fucking Joker and Harley Quinn or virtual.
Yeah, I just had a couple of impure thoughts about a virtual Harley Quinn.
Oh, dude. Dude, trust me. Hopefully we'll have multiplayer games on VR. And I say that, because I don't want to kill the single player franchise. I say it because I want to gangbang Harley Quinn.
Dicks out for Harley.
Oh
man.
Well, with that said and done, everybody, I think that we're all the judge here. You, me, the listener, Colnel, everyone here is the judge. Is multiplayer killing single player, or is possibly killing it? Is it in the process of killing it? Do you think single player is close to being dead? I'm just gonna use that from here on. Let the Twitch circle begin. Oh God.
Hashtag Twitch circle.
Well, with that said and done, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. We'll see you next week on episode 47. Stay sexy.